fires that wiped out many thousands of houses in communities that are really important to the fabric of the Los Angeles area.
We are on New York Drive in Altadena.
The Palisades fire is now nearly 3,000 acres large, with evacuation orders impacting at least 30,000 people.
It is like driving through hell itself down here.
And so our attempt is, what can we do to help?
This is the time you give back to the community.
It's tragic that this disaster occurred, but as we talked about earlier, the only way to move forward from a problem is to try and resolve it.
I really admire America's ability to push people and to pull greatness out of them. People were building some of the most extravagant homes in this country.
That was one of the only industries that was alive during COVID. I think that saved a lot of families.
How did you navigate, or do you have some cool stories in regards to some of the iconic properties that we may know? You've worked on over 10,000 real estate projects. How did you do it at such a short period of time?
I just became obsessed. I would work every single day, sometimes literally sleeping under the desk in my office.
What was the first project that you felt the courage, or maybe you had the resources to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this myself? Can you actually explain us what case study was and how you're taking that approach and working on this really exciting project?
It's daunting. So let me start from saying this is...
Hey everyone, I'm excited for you to watch this episode with Jason Somers. Jason is one of the most influential figures in real estate today, not just in Los Angeles, but in cities across the world. He started out as an expediter, helping homeowners and developers navigate complex zoning and building laws, but he's since evolved into a developer, a curator, and the founder of his own nutrition company. This conversation covers a lot, from how LA is adapting to wildfires and what the next chapter of the city looks like, to Jason's new business ventures, his global outlook on real estate, and how he maintains a such high-performance lifestyle every single day. I learned a lot from this one, and I think you will too, so enjoy. Jason, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our podcast. We're excited to have you, and when we've done our research on you, I mean, your bio is quite interesting. Some of the things that you started, the businesses that you operate. You're an expediter, developer, founder of a supplement brand, which we'll talk later. And beyond that, your hands are on some of the most iconic projects in Los Angeles, in California, and now in other parts of this country and overseas. So that's quite impressive. And we've known each other for the last few years. And I'm just really excited to have you here. I got a ton of questions for you, but first of all, thank you so much for coming.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and we have grown an amazing relationship over the last number of years, and you've just jumped into this field and really made everyone feel so at home with you and your knowledge and your interest in everything that we in this industry are doing. And it was really exciting coming through the doors of your office. You come in, there's Emmys on the wall. I come into the podcast studio. I'm like, what is this? It's a George condo hanging on the wall of the podcast studio. Very nicely done, guys. Really, you guys, I think that's why your team's ascent has been so dramatic. Everything you do is at such a elite level. And attention to detail is something that obviously I care deeply about. And I think something that we resonate on, and excited to dive into all that today.
Amazing. Likewise. Let's talk about your upbringing. You're born and raised in Los Angeles. And I always find it fascinating when I meet with professionals that are thriving in their business that is from this city. And, I've been here for the last 6+ years, and understanding the business environment, just the environment in Los Angeles in general, and how navigating that can be very challenging. But I see a lot of Angelinos that are actually very successful, thriving, and you're one of them. So I would love to hear you growing up in this city and kind of transitioning into real estate.
Well, I love this city. I mean, I just got back from overseas in our offices in Miami over the last couple of weeks. And the moment I touch ground in Los Angeles, just a feeling comes over me of home, right? I'm a third generation Angelino. My grandfather went to Fairfax High School. My dad grew up in Venice in the 70s, was part of Dogtown surf culture, and went to Venice High School. He went to UCLA. I went to UCLA. My younger brother, who's my business partner, went to UCLA. We're here. Our projects are here. We care deeply about this city. And, the turmoil it's gone through in the last couple of years, kind of culminating with these fires, has never made it more important to really stand up and be proud of being an Angelino. And it is a city that has so much to offer. And even though we have a lot of problems, I think that LA is a city that has absolutely everything, but not the best of anything at certain times. But it does have the opportunity for that. And it just is going to take the right mindset, leadership, and entrepreneurs to keep trying to feed this city to make it its fullest potential, which ideally comes in the Olympics in 2028, which is happening in the city. I think is hopefully this city can get to a point where it's really, a showcase for the world, because LA has always been a trendsetter, right?
Of course.
Starts with, and it's a young city, right? We're just a little more than 100 years old. So in the history of society, that's nothing, right? But think of the impact that Los Angeles has on the world, coming from the entertainment industry, coming from modern architecture, right? It's our topography, it's our climate, it's the financial ability of people here that's allowed it to be a trendsetter. And so, at its best, LA can be a model example for the world. And it's something that I'm really excited to, keep as part of my legacy, as being a part of shaping this city.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I always say LA is a city, or LA can be whatever you want the city to be, given that it has so many different neighborhoods, the topography, the landscape, the people here, diversity allows the city to offer so much to the world. And it is a trendsetter. And the environment here, mixed with the individuals that stay here and their ambition to push the boundaries, has certainly allowed this city to create some of the incredible brands, products, real estate the world has ever seen. So that's really exciting to be part of. I'm pretty sure, when I moved here almost at this point 7 years ago, those were some of the things that really draw me to the city. And I know you deeply believe in these qualities and values and what this city has to offer. So you went to UCLA, and I know during your university life, you were already getting into real estate. So I want to understand how you got yourself through that door, given that stepping into real estate scene in Los Angeles can be very challenging, and also it can be intimidating. And it seems like you went right through it.
Yeah, I mean, I was living the prototypical American movie of living in a fraternity house, being on the lacrosse team, and had dreams and aspirations of heading to law school. Not because I wanted to be a lawyer, but because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and felt that would be a great backing. And I always enjoyed analysis of code and literature and reading that and diving in and figuring out how to interpret things. So from that, I ended up getting the coincidence opportunity of a lifetime, where after my junior year, I was able to get an internship with a land use project management company. It was a husband and wife that was someone that we had known growing up. I was the first person in my family in real estate and had, an interest in taking a look at this opportunity. And it turned out that what they were doing was basically a blend of law and architecture. Something that I'd always enjoyed. My grandma used to give these great stories of taking me in a stroller to construction sites as a little baby, and I just couldn't get enough of the construction sites, but also had this desire to, understand law. So I was able to get into this business that was kind of a burgeoning, non-really organized structure of an industry, because permit expediting historically had been kind of a where to go and take plans in the city and have a relationship with the people at the city, but it wasn't so much a knowledge of the code. This company, the husband and wife, who was kind of the greatest project manager leader that I've ever seen, and really taught me a lot of my skill set into how to manage and, take a team in a positive forward direction. And his wife, who was kind of the forefront of taking expediting beyond expediting into code analysis and becoming the person that was giving advice to the architects, to the developers, to the end users of what they could do with their sites. I loved it. I saw the opportunity right away. Sometimes when you love something, it's kind of a love at first sight type of thing. And I just became obsessed. So I stopped playing ball. I took all my classes at UCLA 2 or 3 days a week for the rest of the time I was in school. And I worked the rest of those at the company. And then during the summer, I would work every single day, sometimes literally sleeping under the desk in my office, actually, and reading these code books, putting these presentations together, building these 3-dimensional models, because at that time, we didn't even have SketchUp. It was all about building actual life-size 3D models of properties. And that gave me a great understanding of architecture, civil engineering, and how to, design and build projects while looking at the code. So that was kind of where I started to gain this skill set of taking the law and building it 3-dimensionally to explain to architects who, these codes, they're not black and white. They're very gray area. And there are interpretations, especially when it comes to the LA hillside area. And that's from Malibu through Beverly Hills through Hollywood Hills, right? Because no two lots are really the same. Across the street from each other, next to each other, they're different. And the code is not able to be a one size fits all.
Yes.
And so I just figured out this niche for figuring out how to interpret this code, maximize things, get them through the permitting system very quickly. And I had the opportunity, because of this company, because of their reputation, of working on the elite projects of the time, right off the bat. And I got my real estate license when I was 20. I did my first deal before I had even graduated college. In fact, driving here up Benedict Canyon, passed it on the way here. And I always look at that property and think about it when I go there, because that was my first ever deal.
Wow, amazing. And I feel like your timing was accidentally perfect, because not only you found this niche where you're studying these lots, understanding that law can only interpret or understand so much of what the setting is. And from there, being able to bring in the engineering, understanding of code, and design these 3D models to maximize the use case of each one of these plots, these locations. And that's really valuable, given that you're also doing this in Los Angeles, out of all the places where value of real estate, value of property, or what can be done with a given opportunity can be so valuable, which made your job that much more strategic, critical, and important. So, now that I have a good understanding of Los Angeles real estate, you quickly realize that this is one of the most important jobs within the project, or handled well, this can make it or break the project too. So it's fascinating. And I'm curious, at that young age, you're stepping into these really expensive homes, big projects. These rooms can be intimidating. How did you navigate, or do you have some cool stories in regards to some of the iconic properties that we may know?
Yeah, I think that it was really thrilling for me to be very significantly the youngest person in the room every single time, especially early in my career. And, I was named VP of that company when I was 25. And by that time, I'd already been doing it for almost 5 years at that point. I think that having a company behind you can sometimes give you credibility, regardless of what your age and status is, right? And that's something where I've tried to create with Crest, and why I called it Crest Real Estate instead of, Summers and Associates. Because when people have that shield on, it means that they represent something. It means representing, preparedness, knowledge, and the capability to really work with people and listen, and also be a leader. So I think that it was just, I got the credibility because I was coming with solutions to problems that maybe they didn't even know they had, right? And my boss was very good at kind of setting the table and letting people talk, and then coming in and giving these solutions. But the very first project I ever walked into a meeting on, so I'll never forget the day that I did it. It was the first day of work. He throws me the keys to his car. He's like, "You drive." He's in his passenger seat. He's doing calls, doing work the whole time. And we drive into Century City, go up the Twin Towers, high level floor, come to this boardroom. Remember, I'm still a junior in college right now. And I have no idea exactly what it is that we do. And we go into this room, and it's a bunch of suits, old guys in there. And they're talking about this property that was 162.8 acres in the middle of Beverly Hills. It was made for one estate. It was the old Merv Griffin, then Mark Hughes' estate. And Hughes had passed, the trust had it, and my boss was working for an investor that was coming in to do a subdivision of 6 lots. That property was what's today known as the Mountain, the $1 billion mountaintop that still is yet to be finished in Beverly Hills. At the time, it was called Tower Park. And we went through all the entitlements and the grading of 500,000 cubic yards of dirt to create the 6 most elite pads in a gated community in all of, probably in the country.
In the world even.
And that it's not still developed is a very mysterious thing.
Yeah.
Because it's such a remarkable property with all the infrastructure, this beautiful grass on each one of these lots. And, it's looking over the entire city in the sky. Someday it will get developed, but it was a great introduction where I started kind of working on the biggest, most complex project there possibly could have been. And seeing that and seeing the way that people operated, it made me not intimidated as other projects came on.
Seems like you really embraced it and you just went with it, which is great. And that's how you really learn. Sometimes it can be intimidating to walk into an opportunity where you're not quite equipped yet. You know that you don't have all the answers, but having that confidence and having that willpower to say, you know what, I'll figure this out. I'll make it happen, which I can clearly see that in you, gets you through a lot of things very quickly, and you can gain experience very quickly that way as well, which is something that I actually recommend a lot to people. And I know you kind of operate that way too. There's always a way to solve it. There's always a way to figure it out.
Well, having a mentor, someone told me this one time, having a mentor is the cheat code to success, right? It is the fast track. So if you have someone that's got your back and is, supporting you as you try and make all these attempts to be successful, but if you do fail, which you will do inevitably, especially when you're learning,
of course,
to have that person to, pick you back up or have your back to make sure that you don't fall back and that you're only able to move forward, I think is what I've tried to instill continuously in our firm, because over the last 15 years, I've had the same program. Even though I was in a gray beard at the time, it still was important to have people sit at my side. They drive, they go into the meetings, you get thrown into the fire. First day, I love taking someone and first day going into the most important meeting I can possibly find and saying, you have to say something. And people get very shy and timid about doing that. Like, are you sure? I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's okay. Our credibility is going to back you up if you do something incorrectly. There's certain levels and I don't think someone's going to make a huge mistake, but if they do, then we have the credibility to back it up and still be there. But the only way, as you said, you learn and get better fast is by doing it. I'm such a believer in that, right? I didn't end up going to law school. I didn't go to get an architecture degree, but we're pretty proficient in both of those things from doing so much of it for the amount of time that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, you're young, you're in this company, you have access to all these projects where you're accumulating so much knowledge so quickly. On top of that, you're driven. But I'm curious, in that moment, were there particular things that you've done that gave you that extra edge, or you were simply just soaking in as much as you can?
There is no substitute for hard work. I mean, the amount of hours that even still, I'm still working at 1 a.m., which is not good. I don't want to be doing that anymore. And I am doing better at trying to separate and delegate and things of that nature. But
you're managing it better than most, I would say.
Yeah, it's like that duck analogy. Over on top of the water, it looks calm, but underneath, it's just paddling at a million miles a second to keep its appearance calm up top.
I love that analogy.
But it really was. I became passionate about it, and so I just couldn't stop working because I saw the opportunity. I wanted the success. I was working on fascinating projects. It was at a time which you kind of coined the golden age of Los Angeles real estate development, right? We were coming in at a time when it was, Niall Naomi, the McKillans, Paul McLean, they were coming to the forefront. The Williams were getting involved with selling real estate. all these people were coming to the table at this time, and there was this desire to build these beautiful modern projects that, in the 90s and early 2000s, there wasn't so much, right? The modern revolution in LA was predominantly in the 50s and 60s, right? Then we had a gap of architecture from really pushing the boundaries in modernism. And all of a sudden it came back with a fury because it is the best way to live lifestyle in enjoying the views of Los Angeles. And these properties, they're built not just based on the floor, but it's the topography of the site, right? It's the natural environment that we're carving into and building these houses, which is why each one is so individual and unique, right?
Of course.
And why people appreciate the hillside modernist architecture more so than, the big box architecture in the flats, which just kind of doesn't look natural, right? I actually do think that the more traditional homes tend to look more at home in the flats.
Appropriate.
But in the hills, modernist architecture does feel like that's what belongs there, right? And I think that every property has its own identity and it has its own desire for what the habitable structure for the humans that are going to live there are going to take on. And, we were at a time when this was all really booming, right? And my particular skill set that I was gaining, because the codes had changed back, in the 2000s, I was kind of figuring out how to do these daylighted basements, which was kind of the whole precipice of, maximizing these buildings. Yeah. And at that time, as you said, also, it was all about the algorithm price per square foot.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. And that era is really exciting. And I would even say that era is the reason why I'm here too, because 10, 12 years ago, watching Los Angeles build these incredible homes, modern architecture, massive sliding glass doors, views, watching these TV shows, I got hooked. And my personality is pretty similar to yours. Once we like something, we obsess over it. We want our hands on it. We want to think about it all day, every day. And once that obsession takes over you, there's no stopping it. It's almost natural. I found this so confusing growing up, where people would ask me, why are you training so much? Why are you working so much? And in my mind, I'm like, why wouldn't you? If you love it and if you enjoy it and if you enjoy bettering yourself and like improving on something, you would just do it all the time, all day, every day. And I can see that with you as well. It's like, I was obsessed with it, understanding the code, realizing the impact you can make on these projects, and knowing that you have this wide open road in front of you, you just want to go fast. And I would even say that era is like Fast and Furious. Everybody was going fast. Everybody was furious. Numbers were getting jacked up. It was really exciting. And I want to really go into that era. Again, it's one of the reasons why I'm here. But you were working at this company. You're going up. You're really learning the business. And in 2014, you decide to open up your own firm. I want to understand that transition and why you wanted to go your way.
Well, I kind of always had the vision of staying with that firm and kind of carrying on the legacy. However, the mentor of mine didn't really want to grow in the same fashion I had envisioned. We came to a mutual kind of thought process that it'd be good for me to start my own business. And that's why I went off and started Crest. First employees were Steven, my brother, who was also at he was at UCLA at that time, finishing up. So it was a kind of similar story to mine, where he'd then come on my side and, ran with me and learn the industry. And Steven's brilliant. I mean, he was headed to Columbia on a full academic scholarship for law school, and decided last minute to stick with Crest, which I think was a very good decision for him and his family, because we've been able to be so successful as a partnership, and I don't know where I would be without him. Also, my best friend from growing up, who's an attorney, didn't have real estate knowledge, but I was like, hey, you're an attorney, you can probably figure out how to run this company, right? So that was Thomas Dewberry the third, and he came in. And then also Dominic Filosa, who later became the founder of Vantage Design Group, was my first project manager employee. And I had always been running into him at the city, and he was working for another architect at the time. And basically we decided, hey, I need help. You are an architect. And that was kind of the start of Crest realizing the best skill set for what we do is architects. And architects are the most, broad. I think the education of an architect is one of the most broad, wonderful training of any profession, right? You have the analytics of, math and how things work from a geometry and precision standpoint. And then you have the creativity, right? Of understanding how to look at things in a new way, because architects are artists. And I think that looking at the code and trying to always find new ways to interpret, new ways to push boundaries has been something that's, pushed us to the forefront, and why Crest is the company that it is, and how involved we are on, such a high majority of high-end projects, not just residential anymore, but now hospitality, multifamily. I mean, I drove past the Sportsman's Lodge project on the way here with an Airwan and an Equinox. I never knew that we were going to be doing those projects too. Beverly Hills Hotel, new renovations, which is epic. So it's been really fun kind of growing the business in that way with architects, attorneys, engineers, all people with the educational backgrounds that honestly I wish that I had, but gained through experience instead of through the technical learning. But that's kind of been a fun component of it.
I mean, how did you do it at such a short period of time? I'm blown away, because I had one figure here. You've worked on over 10,000 real estate projects, which is insanity.
It's pretty daunting.
Yeah, that is daunting.
We have hundreds and hundreds of projects every single month that we're working on, our team. And so there's a lot there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I had a great memory on things that I loved growing up. I could remember the stats on every baseball card that I had on the back. But if you asked me to repeat something from one of my other courses that I didn't have interest in, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I think that, having love and desire for things is a way that you can be motivated to push and work harder than really you think. But, I guess it just always comes from a work ethic and, not always having the most God-given talent in anything, right? But always knowing, it comes from sports, right? I was never the biggest guy out there, no chance. But I'll work harder than you all day. That's, that was always the mantra. And that also is the mantra in business, is just keep going. I call it working 25/8, right? And
I got to start using that.
25/8 is definitely, I gotta coin that at some point.
Yeah.
But it is a great one. And also, I have a mantra that's really helped me through business, which is relentless positivity. That's kind of my overarching mantra. That's like, I've got that on my helmet for my racing, my light switches in my office, like the relentless, the positivity. I don't know which level I want to put it at, but those are the levels. And I got that from a football coach at UCLA when I was going there. And it was really, it resonated with me because people can be positive, right?
Yeah.
But especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're in business, and especially when you have really demanding clients and things aren't always going perfect, you have to be relentless. And that's just in personal life too, right? So it's relentless positivity. So no matter what the problem is, you have to, push through it as hard as possible. And I think that's a big component of what we do at Crest. Is there are problems we are solving all day long, every day. And you don't have time to sit and dwell on that problem. It's how do we fix it? That has been also complicated in my personal life, of like sometimes just trying to fix things too fast instead of like really take them in, trying to do better at that. I have a incredible girlfriend right now that's, shown me that and has been so wise and really saying, hey, look, you need to take a second sometimes and actually, comprehend what the issues are, and then go through and then fix them.
Yeah.
But that being said, also going 100 miles an hour, you got to make quick decisions, quick fixes. So, but back to, I think maybe the where do you want to head on that one?
No, I mean, I'm loving this because I feel like we're so similar, and in many ways, I'm the same way. I love solving problems. I love making things happen. And I think there's a level you unlock within yourself once you realize you can almost solve anything if you just put relentless effort and energy behind it. And you sometimes look at problems or situations that you're dealing with and you go, there's no way out. I mean, this is it. We're going to hit a concrete wall. But something in you is just like, push through it. Maybe there is. And one day you wake up, you're like, oh, wow, there is that little opening right there, an opportunity for me to solve this and make this miracle happen. And once you have a couple of experiences like this, it's really hard to go back. Then that becomes your baseline standard for how you approach business, how you approach projects, how you approach challenging things that you feel like you might be the only person who can solve it. And sometimes that can trap you, but sometimes it can unleash you to do incredible things, iconic projects. And it's exciting to hear your interpretation of that. And I also agree on the personal side, when you're that obsessed and this is what you think about all day and every day, not that you neglect the personal side of you, but maybe that becomes another thing in your life where you kind of bring that approach to that and you realize, oh, wow, that approach. I mean, I had those struggles with my family where I'm such a go-getter and solve this problem, make things happen. And you realize there are emotions and feelings involved where sometimes you got to let things be, and just find its place and maybe not solve it. Let it come to its conclusion and then just go from there, right? And that's why I was just kind of like smiling the whole time hearing you speak about this. But the part about you doing over 10,000 projects and what daunted me about that is the fact that I know how detail-oriented you are and I know how you like everything to be concise, to the point, and be efficient. Knowing that about you and then processing 10,000 projects, I'm like, how did he do it? And I'm assuming a good amount of the credit also goes to your team. At Crest, you have very talented people, and trying to be at all these projects at the same time, it can be challenging, but you seem to be pulling it off.
Well, that was literally before you even said that. That's how do I possibly give enough credit to the people that surround me, right? And we've all tried to create I try to set the tone with an ethos of principles and the character of what we want to present as a company, but it comes down to all of the people that are working with us and with me to actually execute and pull that off. And to be able to not actually be there and know that the team members are going to pull things through at such a high level, and that, clients don't even always call me anymore. Right now, they call some of our project managers, some of our directors. I love that. I couldn't enjoy that anymore. It's such a, we call it the Crest family, and no one works for us. They work with us. It is really a beautiful thing. We have our Crestmas celebration every year that is a absolute blast. And, it's such a amazing thing for the real estate industry. We kind of have tried to make it the gala for the industry. The agents have a number of those things, but the rest of the industry, which is the people that make the things happen, doesn't. And so Crestmas tries to become that. So it's not even just the people in our team that make all these incredible projects. Obviously, it's, the best part about my job has been working with the architects and the clients over the last 20 years, right? It's been it's really humbling, actually, to be able to work with hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000, different architects and incredible people that are building these houses, whether it's an end user or a developer. People that are doing these projects are really intellectual, smart, forward-thinking people. I've learned so much from sitting in the meetings with all these people and sitting in these meetings and learning from so many architects. We've worked with a majority of the AD 100, and that's an incredible thing. I mean, I don't think there's any other company that has worked with so many different people, different companies, because of the smaller aspect that we take, but it's an important aspect that's working with all the different consultants and the ownership on each project. But we're able to do more because it's a smaller component of the job, right? So whereas an architect, a big firm, works on 30 projects a year, we're working on 500.
Yeah.
Right. And so, getting to see all those variables, all the information. And, as I said, architects are just really brilliant, wonderful people that are so creative, yet so structured. I think that's that great blend. Right. And, that's what got me super interested in doing our own projects and working with some of these great minds, and also what we do now is more than ever, we're helping guide projects and helping people align with the architects that I'm like, oh, you would be great with this architect, right? Or in being a matchmaker, because we've been able to work with so many. But if you don't learn something from all these people and take it in from, you're completely missing out on the point of the life experience. And so I think that's been the best part, and what keeps me motivated every day is I go into these meetings and we do something different almost every single day. Even though it's within the same space, I don't feel like I'm repeating myself.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's funny what you do for these projects. Like you said, it's not maybe the biggest part of the project, but yet it's a very critical part. And I also think beyond that framework, you now doing your own developments, participating in project management, and understanding what it takes to build a complicated property from 0 to 100, and having that on the back of your mind while being the expediter or the construction manager of that project gives you this incredible scope. You can see the problems that could come. You can see the things that can be easily avoidable by simply having the right barriers in place, right walls in place. And I think that's one of the reasons why Crest, your company, has been so successful. It's not just your understanding or your operational skill set, but your broad understanding of real estate development as a whole, all the way to your own projects, which, again, we're going to talk about for a second. Now, just for the clarity of this conversation and where I want to take it next, I pulled a description of what an expediter is. So I want to read this out loud.
Okay.
An expediter in real estate is a professional who helps navigate the complex permitting, zoning, and regulatory processes required for construction or renovation projects. They act as a liaison between developers, architects, and city departments to move projects through faster with fewer obstacles. Now, I think would you agree that it's a pretty good description?
That is a great description.
Okay. Now that we know that, I want to talk about this golden era of real estate that we're talking about, which is really from the time you founded your company till I want to say 2016, 17, where I feel like people saw this new opportunity in Los Angeles, and few key developers really started pushing the boundaries with these homes, and they took this leap of faith, and it paid off big time. And beyond that, it created this insane craze where people were building, I want to say, some of the most extravagant homes in this country, if not in the world. And knowing this now and really having the broad spectrum to understand, you're right in the heart of it. And I would argue you had one of the most, if not the most important job, helping these projects navigate and maximize their potentials. So talk to me about that era. And I'm so excited to hear this from you.
It was, this perfect convergence of economy coming back strong from the recession, people seeing what modern architecture could be, because Paul McLean, who I think was kind of the person that really launched our new era, he's a master of creating space. And even though these mid-century houses were beautiful layouts, they didn't have kind of the scale that people had grown accustomed to in some of these traditional estate homes. And he was able to really pull that together. And he had, for anything people can say about Niall, he was a visionary, right?
He was.
And, his first couple projects were so incredibly successful, and teamed up with the McKillans, who were just the hardest working guys in not just real estate, but all their other ventures. And to create these projects that, sold immediately, right? For these record numbers. And it was all about, creating the most incredible, project that had the wow factor, and it was a scarcity, right? There just weren't that many of them. So they were selling quick. So people all jumped onto the bandwagon, started doing these projects. The one that's obviously the most famous that, it could have had a happier ending. It does have a good ending now, is the one, right? Niall comes to me and he's like, hey, Jason, what can we do with this property? And, we look at it and we understand that it can actually achieve, something really unique on that property. It gets built. We actually figure out how to do all the entitlements, and it gets built. And, despite all of the complications and some of the turmoil that project created in the hills, And you can't, we actually worked on making it so that project couldn't happen anymore. Cause now there's limitations on what you could do with the basement level and what you can do above ground. And I think people have started to realize that there is a max level to where efficiency kind of goes overboard. And, also for the community at large to be able to continue building projects. Cause remember, not only are these projects supporting the agents and the people just having houses, each one of these houses is a microeconomy.
I was just going to say microeconomy.
At the amount of people that are working on these job sites and the amount of companies that are not just the labor on site, which is an incredible amount of industry and labor and people paid well. They're all paid a really nice, amount of money for their work on these labor projects. But then there's the architect, the engineer, the civil engineer, the Title 24 consultant, the expediter, the interior designer, the fabric producer, the steel manufacturer. I mean, it just goes on and on and on about what real estate does to kind of boost this economy, right? When it's booming. And I think it's an important thing to maintain. And I think that City of LA, Beverly Hills, they actually did an incredible job even during COVID. They never shut their building departments down. They let people keep building. That was one of the only industries that was alive during COVID. And, I think that, saved a lot of families.
I bet.
Right. But back to that golden era, people, we kind of were learning what architecture, what the best way of living in these homes was. And all of a sudden, then you start coming out with, developers like Bruce Makowski and Artie Tavagarian. They take a new direction, right? They're trying to achieve, the end user house, right? Because there's two types of houses in my assessment. There's spec houses, right? And there's end user houses, right? And so the spec houses are more like a plug and play. You build it. It's got to be attractive. It's got to have a great floor plan. It's got to, function really well. It's there. You move in, you do your own design decor and you set it up yourself, but you really can't fully feel like it's your home because it still has like a bit of the spec aspect to it, right? A little coldness. What these guys did and what was inspirational to myself and was kind of what inspired me to be a developer was doing projects to the level of the end user, right? And so that became towards the tail end of this golden era. Instead of just building the biggest possible, where it was price per square foot, it became, and what is now today, it is quality per square foot.
Bingo.
Right? It is the living lifestyle. It is the overall experience, the feeling you get when you go into a house, when you go into a Scott Mitchell, when you go into a Howard Backen, like there's just a different level, a Woods Dan Guerin house, right? There's like these, and the new McLean houses that he's doing for these end users are so beautiful, so incredible. I mean, you already saw it on one that he actually did on spec recently that on Laurel. I think you guys did a video there.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite houses of all time. Right. And I think that developers, just like architects, just like buyers have learned over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they've now seen all the different things that people have done, whether it be for spec or for end user. They've been able to go to enough dinner parties. They've been able to go to see their friends' houses, right? They've been able to hear the stories of people that have bought into the spec house, hear stories of people that went through the really difficult process of building a house for themselves. Yeah. And so people have really gotten much more knowledgeable, I feel, in the real estate world of how to build, what they need to build. And as well, at the same time, Crest, our company, myself, has been involved with all of these projects, heard the stories from these end users, heard the stories from these developers, gone into all of these houses. And so we started to create our mindset of like, oh, okay, I think this is actually maybe the way you should build and design for something that's timeless, right? Because what's beautiful about the original mid-century homes and the most iconic houses in our city is they're timeless. Right. And I think that's what this new generation of work has become, right? It's becoming very timeless. The houses that are being built today, and that, we started, I think, with the Stanley house that we did with X10 and Lenny Kravitz, it's
Austin
timeless.
Kelly, yeah.
And so, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's really, the arc of this era was maximize, right? See what it can be. And I think that's the way any, exploration should be, right? Kind of, you have this huge idea and then you start chopping in with inefficiencies, right? And refinement. And you're seeing today, these projects are so refined and beautiful and livable, and the landscaping, the water features, the spaces, the layouts, the quality of the materials, the way that things are fabricated and put together, the feel, the touch, the lighting even, right? Definitely. It's all so tailored, and it's because we're all learning and experiencing and seeing more and more how to make these projects better. And I'm excited to see, I feel like we're kind of at like a top of where design can get right now, but something's going to happen that pushes the next era. And I'm really excited to kind of see what that is. I'm starting to see some trends that I think are leading to more things in the future, specifically in regards to wellness. But, it's been a really fascinating arc that I think LA has led of the golden era, and how it's really evolved into such a incredible, architecturally significant place.
Of course, and I think it has influenced the rest of the world, where so many people took so much inspiration from these properties and what has happened over the last, I want to say, 20 years in Los Angeles. And I want to expand on this part. You explained that last 20 years extremely well. And, some of the trends that we saw, or some of the ways these developers were maximizing these properties, they were pushing the boundaries when it comes to these basements. Basements turned into, they lit basements where they would put massive sliding glass doors, and technically those spaces didn't take square footage away from how much you could utilize your lot. So that was one way. And I think back then, with the scarcity aspect of it and how much demand was in place, people just wanted these big extravagant homes. And maybe to some degree, there wasn't enough data on these homes, how they live, or how they can be elevated furthermore. And a lot of people got caught up on this massive storm, because one of the other challenging aspects of building in this city, and I always tell people, developers in New York and LA are some of the most courageous people I can ever think, because you are building something very significant. You're taking a huge financial risk, a physical risk too, putting some of these homes up on hills where you have hundreds of caissons, so much concrete, site work. I mean, it's monumental, the amount of resources and manpower you're putting into these sites. Then you're betting on this anywhere from 3, if you're really good at what you do, all the way to 8, 9, 10-year vision plans, that hoping 10 years from now, what I'm going to put up here is going to be so in demand. It's going to be so attractive. It's going to be something that people admire or think iconic. That's a bold vision. And somewhere in there, a lot of people got caught up on that storm, where a lot of people made money. A lot of people lost everything they got. And people like yourself, who are very in tune with their business, who really read the landscape very actively and really well, has seen these little changes and made these little nuances or little changes they've incorporated into their businesses to adapt to this new environment. And you're so right. The last 6-7 years, we've transitioned from designing big homes to curated homes. Intentionality become more and more important, where no, we don't need 20,000 square feet, but if you're going to design a home, make it 10,000 square feet, but make each one of the bedrooms count. Really go in with your materials, the textures you're going to use, which personally I find it more exciting. I think there's a good amount of wastefulness that happens when you go big and you want to maximize the square footage, versus I'm a big believer in utility. Build a home where you use every single square feet. You make every corner, every moment count. But it was just fascinating to watch that era. And, you talked about the one earlier. I would say that was the pinnacle product that came out of that era and will live forever, and it's situated on arguably one of the best lots that this city has to offer. And yeah, it's crazy to think about that era, and you can obviously see the influence of that era throughout the entire city in every single neighborhood. And It has brought us to today, really. I want to take a quick break and give big thanks to Lazzoni for providing all this beautiful furniture for our podcast studio, a brand that truly values craftsmanship and quality. A Turkish company whose heritage, design precision, and service align with our vision and values, making them a standout choice for us and for those who appreciate well-made pieces. For the price point, their products offer some of the best value in the industry. We've known Lazzoni for years, and every client, friend, or colleague we've sent their way has had a great experience with them, whether in store or online due to their customer service. That's why we felt confident choosing them to furnish our podcast studio, and we can't thank them enough for their support. Now, you are working as an expediter, and I can tell your next step in that was to develop your own projects. What was the first project that you felt the courage, or maybe you had the resources to say, you know what, I'm going to do this myself, or I'm going to partner up with someone?
Because we're never the decision maker at the end of the day, we guide and people take our guidance quite often. But as an entrepreneur, I wanted to be the decision maker. And so taking on a development project, I thought was, as you said, the next evolution in step. And I also felt like it might make me even better at the other job that I do. I had no idea how much better, because I knew how to get people to permits as well as anybody ever has, right? But to understand what happens from that point forward was somewhat of a mystery to me, right? But to actually be there and sign the checks and understand the dynamics of construction and do it yourself on a project that is at the level of the projects you're permitting was really important. So the first one we did was with Austin Kelly of X10, who really tragically, I think, he could have been one of the great architects of our era and did leave a lasting legacy, and the company still is there, but he was a wonderful person that we lost way too soon. Was the architect of the Stanley One House. We brought in the vision of Lenny Kravitz as an interior designer through Brandon Williams' kind of vision on what we wanted this homage to the Sunset Strip and rock and roll to be. And it was our attempt at saying, we want the warm end user contemporary home. We were so inspired by, I give architectural tours at the Sheets Goldstein house. That is the home that inspires me more than anything, right? That is the epitome of warmth, even though it's concrete. It has so much landscape, texture, feel, soul, right, to it. And what we tried to achieve in the Stanley One House was something that had soul. And it does. When you go there, it's on with all the fire, with all the warmth, with all the texture, the dim lighting. When you're up there at night and the water features and the sparkling lights of the city at your footsteps,
it's magical.
It's like the house has a heartbeat, right? And I think that's what you try to create, and that's why that house today is so iconic. I mean, that's where I just was the wedding for the guy that bought that house, all these years later. Fortunately, not too many developers stay friends with the people that buy their house. A lot of times it's very, opposite of that. Instead, we've had a beautiful relationship. And when you go into that house, it's the same as we left it. All the furniture, all the curation, everything is there as it was. And that's, I think, a testament to the quality, to the idea that we had behind that home. It broke every record in that neighborhood, selling at $3,300 a foot.
It was a big gamble back then. It's easier to see it now, but for that location and for home to go, it was really pushing the boundaries. Architecture, curation. And when was it completed?
It sold in 2018, actually.
2018, got it.
Amazingly. I mean, it feels so long ago now.
Yeah, it feels so long ago, but I remember watching the listing video of that property, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And we'll roll some of the clips, some of the shots from that video. But
we tried to, re-up it from that point forward, and we, went and did a number of so we kept buying, some beautiful lots that had entitlement opportunity. And I didn't want to do too much of it because Crest is the baby. Like that's everything. I can't lose focus of that. But doing the developments has made us way better at advising our clients. And there's been, I think our clients have all been very actually supportive of us doing that because, and also we've not worked with the same architect over and over. It's, we worked with X10 and then we worked with Hoggy Bellsberg. We worked with Sayota. We then went and did a project with Vantage, then Chad Oppenheim, and then Scott Mitchell. And, the two other houses that are now done, which you guys did, just a legendary video for the opening of that. Just the whole thing it blew us away. It drove, us to just an emotional state of watching you present that house, the Stanley 2 house, which, is still, it's on the market. It's just been a unusual time, but I do believe that someone is going to be incredibly happy when they do end up moving to that home because it's special. The layout, the textures, the materials, the view, the privacy. It's a really incredible home that we're really proud of. And it showed us, a way forward in architecture with the deconstructed roof edges and using the razor edge, philosophy on architecture that we drove. The stepped lighting system in the main level, the textures, the landscaping, we're really proud of that project. And I think it's been a great, calling card as well for us of people know that house. They know the quality level. They know the taste level. They know the architectural significance of it. And to go in and, be able to showcase that has been fun. It's also, of course, a burden to develop those projects.
Of course.
But, at the end of the day, it's going to be great. And we're really proud of that. And then, of course, nothing beats working with the talent that's Scott Mitchell and building the Curson house. That thing is a true masterpiece. It's so elegantly done for something that's so monumental on a hillside. But it's, something so refined and elegant, and working with him and other architects like that has showed another level. And as I said, I'm always learning, always coming up to the next idea and what is important in architecture, and the class and elegance that he puts into his homes is beautiful. And it's a symphony, right? When you go up there.
I still haven't been up there. I want to see the house.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah, we got to make that happen. I know Brandon called me a couple times, but I wasn't in town, or I just couldn't make it when they were touring that property. But I want to share a quick story. And I know Brandon, I hope Brandon doesn't get mad at me for mentioning this on camera, but I want to tell this story because it covers an important point. When we put together the Californication tour, interviewed you, Rainey, Brandon, put the video together. And obviously being in this industry, being in Los Angeles and knowing you guys in person, I knew the amount of effort, love that went into that property. And for me, it's really easy to see. I fully agree with everything you said about that house. It is beautifully done, so cared for, unique, architectural. And it is such an LA home, right? The distance to Sunset Boulevard, the palm trees. It's a magical property to experience. And when we released the video, I remember Brandon calling me and he goes, Enes, you have no idea how difficult it has been building and completing this project. It has taken everything out of us, including you, giving you huge credit. And he's like, seeing this video made me feel so relieved and so proud. And he goes, for the first time, I can put all the pain and suffering behind and actually celebrate what we have created. He goes, I was watching it in my car because I couldn't get to my home quick enough to watch it. I just wanted to see it. And he goes, I cried in my car, just like relieving all that stress and the pain we went through. And I thought it was beautiful. I wanted to tell this story not to bring up the fact that Brandon was crying watching the video. That's how much effort it takes to pull these projects. It really takes a piece of your soul, piece of your body away from you. You have to almost invest that into the site for this thing to come to fruition. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. That's really one of the core values behind why I do what I do and what drives me, why I still care so much to write notes and study the architects, the individuals behind these homes, interview them, just so I feel like their pain can be shared and to some aspect celebrated. And that's really what that video ended up really being. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I know you called me for it, but beautiful property. I'm right there with you.
Thank you. I mean, look, through the pain, you also gain so much knowledge, right? So look, with anything in business, like it's not all smooth, but if you don't learn from the negatives, then you're just not doing it right. But we have a long time in front of us, you know, thank God I have this great consulting business and all that that's helped, you know, carry the burden of having a development property. And, you know, being able to stay proud and stay consistent with it. And, you know, it'll have its day. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it is it's going to be timeless. That house is going to have a long, long life. It's built beautifully and it's going to make someone very, very happy. Looking forward to that.
I was going to say, every time you drive by that house, you always look at it. And I agree. I mean, you guys should be extremely proud of what you have created. It's an iconic property and it's going to be there for generations. And that's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's, you know, the lessons from it are also already carrying on. So it already has a legacy because it's allowed us to, you know, jump into the new philosophy that I was telling you about of how I'm really trying to push clients as much as possible into this philosophy, because we're really at a very difficult breaking point in real estate development and construction, not just for developers, but for end users. And a fascinating thing is over the last 5 years, really just at the start of COVID, you know, 10 years ago, we were 70% developers, 30% end users. Yeah. It's flipped, right? It's more end users building these houses.
Yeah.
But end users, they're very busy and they're not full-time developers. They need to have a pleasant experience building these houses. And the only way that you can actually achieve that, and what we're trying to pitch, and it's very hard to stay disciplined, but it's patience to actually start, work with all the consultants, work with the architect, work with the interior designer, get everything figured out. The only time you have any negotiating power on a construction project is before you break ground.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're bidding out to multiple subcontractors. The general contractor, yeah, they make a percentage of the overall cost, but they're not really who's making all the money on a project. It's all the subs, right? And so by being patient and bidding out the project really aggressively and then being disciplined once you get into construction to not be making changes, where when the change orders can come, that's when it all falls apart. That's where all of the turmoil comes with contractor and end user, right? And client is the change orders, because you feel like you're being taken advantage of in a sense. And you are, in my opinion, because that's when they're able to make up the loss from the original negotiation, right? And competing with their other counterparts. Now you don't have anyone to compete with. And you're in a time crunch, and time is money too. So you just kind of eat the bullet. And the way that we're really trying to push forward, and what we learned so much out of these developments, is in where we made changes and made those mistakes. But now if I do more developments, I'm dead set on having a project that is designed, completed, interiors, everything before breaking ground. Let the builder build is another, you know, philosophy. So it's patience and discipline, and let the builder build. Because these builders, they're talented. They know what to do. They really do. And they don't want to have a tumultuous relationship with their clients. The way builders get their next project is by having a successful relationship with their client. Correct. And so if you can do a smooth project, which I think we're trying to help line up out there throughout the industry right now, you will see an era, because prices it was able to be absorbed more when the highest construction cost per foot was $1,000 a foot. You know, remember $1,000 a foot was the highest level construction. Now it's the baseline, unfortunately. And that's really, really discouraging. And that we're hearing, you know, that the highest level projects are north of $2,000 a foot to build. You know, that will have an impact in how many projects get built, because it used to be, you know, you built a project for yourself or as a developer, and it made sense financially, even if you weren't planning to sell as an end user, even if it was for yourself.
The investment was there.
You still wanted to make a sound financial investment. This is a huge component of your personal portfolio is your home, your real estate. So if it gets to a point where the cost to build plus land is at a higher price per foot than what you can end up selling your home for, that's just going to stop the momentum of new construction. And so it is more important than ever. And just like we said, okay, can't do the one anymore. That's not sustainable, right? Because we're here for the long haul. We want to be doing this for a long time. And we are successful when a lot of projects are being built. So we saw that is unsustainable. I now find that the most extreme problem our industry is facing is construction cost and time of construction. And the only way I'm seeing any ability to contain that is by doing this pre-planning activity of being proactive and really setting a full stage of what you're going to build and then just executing, right? Plan, execute, which is really what Crest did for permits, right? Here's exactly what you can do, exactly how you need to do it. Boom, through the system. Good. Way less at stake through the permitting process, right? Once you hit construction, there is a lot at stake, especially now with how high construction prices are going.
Yeah.
You make changes, it could blow a project up. And I think you're seeing that actually happening. You're seeing people just lose patience, more frustration and aggravation towards projects. But I think that's the correction we're trying to push for, is to make it so that, the contractor and the client can be on the same page and really do a harmonic project together that has the smooth path forward. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Just like plan check is never perfect. We're always getting corrections. It's amazing. Like thousands, probably seen like 2 without corrections, even if we do it. But it's the same. If we can pre-plan enough, be detailed enough, be patient enough, be disciplined enough, I do think people are going to continue building, continue doing amazing projects. And honestly, it'll just be more fun for all people involved.
I mean, this insight you're giving us is tremendously valuable, because I feel like as the world changes, as we go through these different dynamics, which currently in Los Angeles with inflation, these fires, lack of labor, it changes the environment when it comes to construction and how these projects can be completed. And you're in a place where you can see these so closely and be able to take all this data and go, how do I navigate around this, make this process as frictionless, as economical, and as efficient as possible, not just from a cost or construction management standpoint, but you're also touching the client end as well. And in an ideal world, as people who love real estate and architecture, I always say people should have a phenomenal experience building their dream home. I mean, what a monumental thing for them in their life, right? They now have the means, the time, the energy, the resources. In Los Angeles' case, millions of dollars to say, you know what? I'm going to go through this 3, 4, 5 year journey. I'm going to work with this big group and I'm going to design a home that's going to be my forever home. To me, that's an exciting thing. And I would hope that they would love that process.
Right.
And they would tell that to their friends and family, and they would want to share that space with their loved ones. But that relationship can turn into their worst relationship ever so quickly. It's a very dangerous game. And it is incredible to see how you saw that landscape and go, okay, here are the inefficiencies, like let's work around it, which I agree with your direction or your perspective, where let's design it really well. We have the technology, we have the understanding, we have the renderings where we can give you this somewhat immersive experience of what this space can look like. Let's make sure we're maximizing it. But then once we handed this over to the builder, let's leave them alone. Not just from a cost perspective, from a monetary perspective as well. And that, in the current environment that we sit in, is a very effective way of approaching projects, which is also why you've been successful with many of your projects. And no matter what happens, and it's such a big compliment I can give you, I know for a fact that Jason's projects always moves forward. And as you know, I know most of the people in this city, the developers, and you know these people as well. And I hear these horror stories left and right. But I know one way or another, your projects are always moving forward. And I think that's really important. And I think you navigate that environment really well. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
So you have built your projects. You're now doing not only expediting, but project management for these clients. You're dealing with a lot of end users. And I have a feeling part of that journey has also made you consider expanding to other cities. And I know you're very strategic. You're very calculated when it comes to your decisions, especially if they're big decisions. And I know you're expanding your operation to Miami, which is a big step for you. And I'm curious, what made you consider Miami?
So we've expanded into different cities for years, right? The municipal code in LA is not the same as Beverly Hills, not the same as Santa Monica, Malibu, Hidden Hills, Newport, whatever these new other cities are. So going into a new city is not actually that daunting for us. It's more about just finishing projects, getting the reputation, doing the work we do. And the reason we chose to do it in Miami, just like in these other places, Malibu or somewhere else in Southern California, is because our architects, our developers, our end users, our real estate agents, they're there, right? They've all moved to Miami, and not moved physically for many of them, but business-wise, their presences are in Miami, and they're accustomed to working with Crest in the way Crest does business, and Crest kind of being that very unique consultant that is that blend of law and architecture, whereas your traditional expediter is more of the knows where to go in the city, but maybe doesn't have the strategic aspect, and the land use attorney that doesn't really have a knowledge base of architecture and how to read plans. And that's what we try to blend together and fill that gap, right? Crest tries to be a lot of everything, right? And really have a wide ranging expertise to offer our clients and their services. So in Miami, we found that there wasn't someone that did exactly what we do. There are talented people out there, but more than anything, it was about following our clients, following the people we have relationships with, right? And having that rapport with them to, having the rapport with Sayota, who's doing a lot of projects out there, and saying, hey, we're in town. We've always worked great together in Southern California. Let's work great together in South Florida. And what I didn't realize, because I figured that flat properties in a red state would have no red tape and wasn't, it was a simple process. It's not. It's very complex. There's 30 plus different jurisdictions with different code in South Florida and the Miami area just for single family dwellings. And so I've really been analyzing all of those different jurisdictions lately, and have an incredible project manager, VP of operations out there that has extensive background in survey and civil engineering and project management and expediting projects through the city. So we found a great partner, also teaming up with another one of my best friends who owns a legacy real estate development company in South Florida, Concord Wilshire. So the name of the company is going to be Concord Crest, because they have a huge, beautiful reputation out there that is, of taking on very complex projects from a master plan community standpoint, which is something we don't get to do out here very often, right? We work on, as you said, infill projects in Los Angeles. In Florida, there's these opportunities of taking over these new master planned areas. So Concord Wilshire has a grand, reputation in being successful, being creative, knowing the people that you need to know to get things done out there, from the attorneys to the city council in the way that it operates, right? So having that support staff that we're able to create allows us to come in to that market and offer a level of service that our clients would expect from us, right? We're not coming in green. We're coming in with a huge background of experience, and I'm getting up to speed really quick. I've been out there meeting with different clients, walking properties, looking at different plans, zoning codes, all of those things to figure out what it is that we can offer and the gray areas inside that code to start utilizing and making sure that people are taking, the best opportunity to develop their sites in the best possible way, and just bring all of our philosophies. And really, at the end of the day, It's communication, right? Our foundation is the responsiveness, right? And one of my other sayings is ambiguity creates animosity. Someone may be doing a job in a silo, but if you don't know what they're doing, you get an animosity towards them, right? It's all about communication, letting the client, letting the architect, letting the entire team know what's happening and keeping the whole team cohesive through the permitting process. So we're bringing that philosophy to there and to other cities. The next place that we're really interested in being is Scottsdale. We've had a lot of interest from people there saying, again, didn't realize it was so complex, but it's not just about the complexity or the simplicity. It's about the communication. It's about the organization. It's about just being someone that can be there to support busy architects, busy clients, and work through the bureaucratic maze to make sure that people are getting the most streamlined permits possible.
I am looking forward to seeing your company in Miami, and more so, like you stated, most of these plots, these lots can be seen as just single story or like just flat lots where you might think that understanding the zoning laws may not help that much, but being creative around rule of law and really adjusting these projects to make the best of these plots can be very interesting. And I know you will put your own spin to it. And I think what you're creating by going to different locations and experiencing these locations and navigating through different zoning laws and bringing all of this institutional know-how to different cities is really exciting. So I'm sure you'll make a big impact in Miami as well, even though on face value, it may seem like a simple process. And also, you have water, you have hurricane, you have totally different things to consider over there versus LA from that aspect is a little bit simpler, but then you have the hillside here, obviously. So that's really exciting. I'm curious, what do you think of Miami?
I've always liked Miami. I think that, it's a city that certainly has a lot of industry and a lot of interesting people. And I think that a city is only as good as the people that live there. Right. And you have people that are entrepreneurs that are, trying to push themselves. There's a big health and wellness component to Miami. People are very into fitness and wellness there, which I think is something that, of course, I resonate towards. And so it's a great culture and climate, and being able to be right there at the beach is certainly nice. Not having the state income taxes is certainly nice. Having that aspect is why people have gone. You're getting a lot of the New York energy down there, which I think is really exciting because the people that are bringing the companies down from New York are some of the highest performing people in the world, right? And so you want to be there. You want to be a part of that. Also, much like Los Angeles, the climate is great for contemporary architecture. And even though contemporary is not the only thing we do, it is something that I'm passionate about. And there is great architecture being done there. And, from the high rises to the single family dwellings. So, we want to be where, complexity and architecture and value kind of at an intersection. And that's what's happening in Miami and several other jurisdictions that we're really interested in being a part of. But that being said, Los Angeles is where my heart is. I need a little topography in my life. I think that, Los Angeles, even though it is spread out, it is a incredible city. It has so much to offer. And I like the ability of going from one area to another and experiencing a different type of culture in Los Angeles. And so this is still what feels like home. And I do feel like we're on a direction of really solving this city's problems. There's some incredible groups that have gotten together, and this kind of gets back into LA. Of course, that's where I always head. Yeah. But there's political action groups like Thrive. That's a centrist based, logic based political organization that is really trying to make wonderful changes in the city to bring, the city to fix many of the problems that it has. Yeah. With homelessness and crime and and affordability. I think that Thrive is an incredible think tank of people that are really in there to try and make this city a better place and are Angelinos through and through and don't want to move. People talk about, oh, people are moving out of LA. I don't see that, honestly. I think that people are trying to stay here because they realize that at the end of the day, yes, you're paying 15% more taxes, but if we could actually get the value out of that 15%, I think it's great because then you don't have to spend a quarter of your year living somewhere else because wherever else you're living is uninhabitable for 25% of the year. This is a 365 beautiful city, and it has the opportunity to continue being the best city and can only get better from here. And I think the right leadership is coming into place. Rick Caruso, who is a true mentor and someone I look up to in every single day, has shown even past the election that what a great civil servant he is and how much he cares about making Los Angeles a great place for the future, not just for him, but for his family, right? I think that all of us are here in LA doing these things because we've seen it's at a tipping point, right? If great people and people that don't do anything, it's going to fall apart. And I think you're seeing more and more busy people get involved locally. And that's what's going to solve the problems.
I have a 2-step solution for you. And since you're a born and raised Angelino, I would love to tell you what I would do if I could to solve the city's, some would argue, many problems. First off, I'm right there with you in regards to how special Los Angeles is. I live here. I've been living here for the last 6 years, and I've really enjoyed my time here. Yes, there are certain aspects that are very challenging. All I would do is bring safety back, make sure people are safe, and they're not worried about walking around, driving their nice cars, or living in their homes, and cut the state tax in half, and let people fix the city. And what I mean by that is this city has such eager and want to grow itself and redevelop itself over and over again. It is so creative. It is so ambitious. It is so driven that I think if the environment was stable and safe enough, people will do that for the city. I think a lot of those problems with money coming in, with ambition, with want coming in would solve itself. So I would just make sure everybody's safe and nobody worries about being attacked or getting robbed, and just cut the state tax in half and say, we welcome you if you want to come here and build your life. And I think people will.
Oh, I mean, look, the taxes are, a big part of people's decision-making process. But I think the biggest reason people leave when there are high taxes when they don't feel value for what they're spending money on.
Of course.
I think that's for any financial decision, right? You want to feel value for what you're spending. I spend a lot in taxes. I never thought I would give that much.
Anybody
but
that's
I want
successful.
I want to feel the return.
Yeah.
Right. I want to, and look, I do feel safe in this country.
Yeah.
Right. I want to feel safe in my city. Bingo. Right. And, Beverly Hills, where I'm extremely active, big supporter of their police and fire department. They have done an incredible job. Look, it's a lot easier because it's a small city, but they've given their police department an ability to enforce law. And you are finding that it is a safer place to be. And, they are, look, but the thing is, they've realized they don't have to be perfect. They just have to be better than what's next to them. Right. You're just basically, it's like that fable of the tiger chasing two people in the jungle. You don't have to be faster than the tiger. You just have to be faster than the other person running. Right. And basically Beverly Hills is far outpacing LA. However, Nathan Hochman, our new district attorney, has come in. He's doing a great job of empowering our police department. Our police department, I speak to them whenever I'm on the streets. I try and talk to them and all that. And they do feel like they're in a better place and more supported now than they were. With Rick Caruso talking on their behalf and giving that encouragement for them. And I even think Mayor Bass has tried to take more of a reasonable approach in solving these very clear issues, right? So, everybody seems to be on the same page. I think I don't know who wouldn't be for safety, right? Yeah. It's like, that's such a key component to your everyday family lifestyle, right? So we all need to be a part of the solution. Everyone needs to be more vigilant. We need to call out problems where they exist. And, people need to get involved. Never have people realized how important it is to be involved in local politics than now, because that is what changes your life on a day-to-day basis. It is not at the national level so much. It is your local politicians. That's what makes your day-to-day lifestyle one way or another.
Well said. Well said. I think we take a little break from real estate, and as if you weren't busy enough with all these things that you're working on, you also started a supplement company on the side as one of your ventures. I will leave it at that and would love to hear the story and how you got into the point where you want to start a nutrition brand.
Well, it all started with, starting, right? And coming up with the name. And I've been so passionate about health and wellness, and, health is wealth, right? Without feeling your best, what's the point of working so hard, right? And having the means to do things that are fun and exciting if you don't feel well. And there's a lot of products that have come out over the years that have really helped me feel the best version of myself, right? And it's not that there's some infamous limitless pill like the movie, right? There is nothing that's actually that I've found yet. I've been searching for it, but it doesn't seem to actually exist of something that is going to actually make you better than what you are capable of being. But what a great nootropic energy product and sleep supplement can do is make you feel like the best version of yourself and feel like you're just in your zone. So I started a company based on a number of years of research and hiring someone that I really had a lot of respect for to start the company with me. And it's called Start Stop. We have a big box out here. Maybe you want to bring it out.
Yes. Can we actually bring that up, please?
You gotta throw the hat out here too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. There we go. So if you want to just show us, I'll give you the packaging.
So basically what we have, go ahead and go with the big guy. It's named Start Stop, right? Yep. For day and night, sun, moon, right? And, a lot of these products, I basically, my mission statement was design the thing that I want to take personally every single day, right? All the things, because I had this whole stack of nutritional supplements, just like I'm sure you do, that you take every single morning to, make yourself feel optimal, but you don't know exactly where it's manufactured, all of that. And even though people don't all know me, I wanted to create something that I was putting in my body every single day, that I knew where it was coming from and what was in it and how much was in it. So basically this is for you. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
So, from up here, you can read our mantra right on the top here.
Oh. For those who won't settle for average days and restless nights. I love that.
So here's your
bottle. Jason, thank you for bringing this to me. But I have to say, when was the first time you gave me your first set for me to try? 2-3 months ago, yeah?
Yeah, it was 2-3 months ago.
And I really enjoyed it. In fact, I finished all of the product. That's why I couldn't even bring it. I was like, can you bring another package, please? Because I've actually used all of it. Works great. And I see the vision that you have, what you're trying to accomplish. And it has certainly worked for me.
So the key is, and here, you can take that. And thank you for talking about it, because it's actually something that I started out of passion purely. And I think that it's, for me, it's been great to have something that I can rely on every day. And I've given to so many of my friends and family and peers. And really, it's about them having something that, I trust what you're putting in your body, which is what I'm putting in mine. And so what we have in it is 5 things, basically, to simplify your day. It's your energy supplements with your B vitamins, your caffeine from green tea and L-theanine to cut the jitters. And then it's your hydration support supplements, sodium, magnesium, potassium. And then it's cognitive function medicine, right? And that's the thing where I think you really get the most out of it. And I hope that people out there are taking supplements that are helping them achieve the highest capability with their cognitive function, right? And that's things like N-acetol, L-tyrosine, phenylalanine, alpha-GPC, hyperzine A that are nootropics, right? And then it's your stress support with Rhodea rosea. And then finally, the thing I've been taking for a long time, and I think you have as well, is 5 grams of creatine. So basically we have 5 things in one. It's all sourced here. It's manufactured in California. I think the branding is pretty sharp itself. And so basically I just wanted something that I felt really good about taking every day. And that's what we do. And I'm really appreciative that you are such a supporter and have been taking it yourself to feel your highest level of functionality, because it's really about, we work so hard and it's hard to feel your best without a little bit of support. Unfortunately for me, like I can't do it without caffeine supplementation, right? And caffeine is just better when you add on these cognitive support products and the hydration support. And then of course we also have the sleep product, because you can't feel great during the day if you don't get good restful sleep. So we have Stop, which is the sleep product. Start is the daytime. So I thought it was really cool that we created a holistic thing, which I don't see a lot of in the market. And also it's not like a bro science branding, because there are some cool products out there, but a lot of it is either, it's not Monster Energy drink or some of these others. And, there's things in a brand like Celsius that just, it's not great to put in your body every single day. So it's really, it's Celsius, it's Liquid IV, it's Magic Mind, and it's creatine all in one thing. So that's it.
No, I love it. And where do you want to take this?
Honestly, I don't know, because the mission statement at first was create my ideal product, right? So that I'm taking something that I believe in and feel really great utilizing every day. I guess ideally it's to have a race team, right? The start stop race team. So that's the real, guiding light. But I think it's really to just, I want people to feel as good as I do every single day. I mean, look, I'm not super young anymore. I feel great though. I'm still playing sports, starting companies, trying to live the most optimal lifestyle possible. And I think that's much more possible for people when they utilize, supplementation to really assist if you're a really busy person. So my objective is for this to be in Walmart in middle America, honestly. And for people that are out there that just need to feel their best taking it. And I think, we're trying to put it at a price point, even though it's really expensive product of what I'm putting in it. The margins aren't as, dramatic as what a lot of these other companies are doing. This isn't my day job. This is something that I'm really passionate about, just like the spec houses, right? I want to build something that I'm really proud of and that people can enjoy.
Absolutely. And I can resonate with the fact that when you discover something that's really helpful to you, you want to share it with your friends and family, your loved ones. I mean, I forget the count how many times I bought set of vitamins that I'm using for myself, to my friends, to my family, just because I know how it impacts my life. And people like ourselves, we're trying to maximize a given moment, a day. I always say you got to make the moment count. You got to really make sure that you're making the best of your day. And for me, nutrition and right supplements can influence that tremendously. It can impact that tremendously. And understanding what lion's mane can do for you, maca, Korean ginseng, and all these really plant-based supplements can impact your life and your quality of life tremendously, your cognitive functions. So I'm a big believer. I feel like part of the reason how I managed to keep up with the workload that I have and what we have managed to create in the last 6 years is because I've been somewhat taking care of myself from this aspect. So
I fully rely. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do my job properly over the last, decade if I didn't have, that cognitive support or a caffeine supplement, which I think a lot of people are the same way. So, it's a necessary component to a busy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, wellness is a holistic approach. There is no one secret, right?
Got it.
But the more you can simplify and do lesser things at a greater approach, I think the better. And, it is so important to feel our best, especially when you're working as hard as you do.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I love that for a moment we took a break to talk about real estate and we're going right back to it.
Oh my goodness.
But this time,
What else we got?
this is really exciting. And when you told me about this project for the first time, I'm like, I see it so clearly. It makes so much
this
sense.
is exciting. Yes.
It's super exciting. And I love that really with everything you just talked about, it's combination of all these things and parts of your life coming together. And to be truthful, I think this is your opportunity to make the utmost impact in the community here in Los Angeles. And you call it Case Study 2.0. And before you explain our viewers what you're working on, can you actually explain us what Case Study was and how you're taking that approach and working on this really exciting project?
Wow, this is great. And I can't believe there's so many things going on. And this is such a monumental effort as well to also have this happening. You know, it's daunting, but it's important. And never has been more important. So let me start from saying this is a attempt to support in the best way we could possibly do for creating housing for what we've lost in the Palisades and Altadena fires. This is a effort that has taken many architects, many brilliant minds to come together. And our company, my brother and I specifically, are leading this effort. And it's called the Case Study 2.0 program. Case Study is a post-World War II effort from the architectural community in the 50s and 60s to create post-World War II housing. It was focused in Southern California. It was the brightest minds in contemporary architecture at the time, which was very new. I mean, completely infantile, right? In its time. And its attempt was to create, this modernist workforce housing that was replicable. What it did in the Case Study program, it created some of the most iconic architecture of all time. I live in a house that was built in 69, which is post Case Study, but from a Case Study architect, Thornton Abel. It's something that I'm very passionate about because it was the kind of the foundation. It was the constitution of modern architecture, right? And the way they designed and built these houses for Southern California lifestyle, for the indoor-outdoor living, for layouts, floor plans, all of that, and thinking forward into the future. It created beautiful houses, but what it did not do, and where we attempt to carry on the legacy, was create something that was replicable. So the Case Study 2.0 program solves for a different immediate crisis. It solves for the post-Palisades, Altadena, and Malibu fires that wiped out many thousands of houses in communities that are really important to the fabric of the Los Angeles area. We can't have our home without those homes being rebuilt and those neighborhoods being put back in place. It's tragic that this disaster occurred, but as we talked about earlier, the only way to move forward from a problem is to try and resolve it. And so our attempt is, what can we do to help? My brother and I were talking and we realized, okay, here's something that we have really great expertise in. The code, right? How do we build back? What we can build back. Number two, what else is a strength of ours? Our Rolodex. I mean, who has worked with more architects and has a more close connection with the greatest architects in the world than our firm because of what we've done over this period of time? So we reached out to a number of architects, got a remarkable response. There's 40 firms that are the most notable in the world, local and international, from KAA, Grant Kirkpatrick's firm, Michael Kovac, firms from overseas, Chad Oppenheim, and has been really involved. And we have in the school of the USC School of Architecture has also been involved, which was a huge supporter and, creator of the original Case Study program. So we have their support as well. And basically we have 40 architects that have designed prototype designs for the most typical lots that exist in Palisades and Altadena. And so there's now a catalog that we're about to release to the public. that's going to be a pick and choose catalog based on your lot type. And this is, going to work on thousands of different lots. And you basically get to pick a pre-designed from one of the world's best architects, a design for your property at a significantly discounted rate. So about 25% of what you would typically pay to utilize that architect. And that's for full construction drawings and everything to build your project through. But it makes these people that really had no desire or understanding of wanting to build a new house, right? These are people that are now overly busy because they, are trying to figure out what to do to solve for what they lost for. And so we're trying to make it as easy and cost effective as possible, because we're also solving for another component of issue, because we already have a lot of projects signed up that Crest is already working on for end user houses and spec houses in the area. So there's the end user houses that are going to be really beautiful, really expensive, amazing, building back the community. Then there's going to be the spec houses. And I'm talking, these are, the old school spec houses that's like, let's just build it as fast and efficiently as possible.
And someone will buy it.
Someone will buy it, but maybe doesn't have the character that represents what these communities had, right? But it's an important aspect to build back these spec houses, because there's just a lot of houses we need to build back. Bingo. So it's better than not having anything there. And the only way these communities thrive again is by, having the, having them build back a majority of these lots within the next 5 years. We are trying to solve the middle portion there, right? There's for many, an affordable end user house. And then there's the spec house that maybe isn't to what they want in terms of design.
Or it's not inspiring them or moving them to make this move.
Or making the community feel the character of what these communities had, right? So basically these brilliant architects have switched their mindset. They're going instead from design first to efficiency first. So they're designing off of what we've given them, which is the template of what you can and cannot do within the zoning parameters of each of these lots. So that's our Crest expertise to them. And then they're designing from an efficiency standpoint, constructability, and fire resilience standpoint first, right? Then, because these are the most brilliant architects that exist, they're going to figure out how to make these really efficient, beautiful, efficient products beautiful, right? And so that is what the Case Study 2.0 program's, mission statement is. We have been blown away by the designs that have been turned in. This is a fully pro bono effort at this point, right? Everybody is volunteering their time and effort, including us. And now they're getting offered for sale at a significant discounted price. As I said, 25%. Gotcha. So $25 a foot. And that's going to, allow for people to look through catalogs and say, okay, now I can visualize what can actually happen on my property. Yeah. This makes it much easier for me. And you're saving 6 months of design, many hundreds of thousands of dollars in consulting fees. And the best part is, once one of these houses gets approved and through the city, we've already worked with the city of LA, building and safety department supervisors and heads. And they've said the next time that plan comes in, boom, immediate approval, day one. So now we're saving all of that time as well. Yeah. So we're really proud of this effort. It's just one more thing. Look, one of my other favorite quotes, I think I've told you this one before. It's if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. Yeah. And people are always shocked when I say who said it. Do you remember who I told you said that?
Was it Warren Buffett?
It's Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, it was someone that I just didn't see it coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Old school. And, Benjamin Franklin, one of my favorite Americans of all time. Truly a pioneer and someone that is so respected. But look, that's what it is. That's what ties all these things together. Just relentless effort, hard work, determination, and trying to do the right thing. Yeah. Right. And trying to put the best quality, the best effort forward as possible. That's what we stand for. And that's, what you and I resonate so much together with, and that you're giving the platform for these people to be celebrated throughout the world on what they're doing, and excellent, the excellence that they're putting forward is really appreciated. That you've been such a supporter of mine and my ventures, and even just sitting down here today at the beginning of your podcast career is really exciting for me to be a part of it. And your whole staff everybody behind the scenes from the Enes team is just first class. And
Thank
just
you.
like myself, would not be able to do it, I'm sure, without everybody that really is there supporting the effort and pushing it forward. So, it's really been just incredible getting to talk about all these items.
No, I mean, when you told me about this project for the first time, I'm like, this is brilliant. And I'm a big believer in look where nobody's looking, right? And not to tie this case study program back to what we do on the YouTube channel, but I always tell people these homes existed. LA always had beautiful architecture. Someone just needed to go in front of camera and make people appreciate it a little bit more. And that's exactly what we have done. The resources, the opportunity was there. And in many ways, when I look at this project or when you told me about it, I'm like, the opportunity is there. You're right. We have to build thousands of homes. Ideally, we need to build them quickly. But at the same time, we do want to retain part of the character, the excitement of these locations, right? Pacific Palisades. I mean, what a beautiful neighborhood. But part of the challenge to draw people back there is going to be, well, is it going to look as good as it looked back then before the fire? So this is a phenomenal opportunity, and you're in the right place, the right time to say, you know what, I'm going to unify this massive group filled with architects across the globe, and I'm going to pull them and say, you know what, this is the time you give back to the community. This is the time you use your skill set, your talent to create something really meaningful. On top of that, here's an opportunity for people to go get themselves an architectural property at a significant discount from a design standpoint, but more importantly, beyond what you said, once one or two of these homes are built, there's going to be a know-how aspect as well. And if an architect sits down and looks at a project and their first few priorities are fire, building a home that's fireproof and also building a home that's efficient to build, that also is going to reduce your construction cost significantly while still giving you that architectural property experience. Which, truth be told, a lot of people living in California and LA specifically, they do want that. We all aspire to that. So what a brilliant way to look at all the resources and go, I'm going to position this here, take the architects here, and give the people who have suffered through this catastrophe to say, you can rebuild and be quick and be efficient and save a lot of money. So I think this is brilliant. I'm more than happy to help however I can to spread the word and be part of this. And I hope not only this happens and it becomes successful, and we maybe put together a little documentary about this entire journey and get some of these architects, have them walk and see some of their homes that they have designed now come to fruition. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm excited for it. When you told me the next few days, I was just thinking about this the entire time. I was like, wow, what a great idea. So I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
I think we talked about, I have a couple of questions here. I know we talked about LA a lot. I actually want to selfishly ask you a question. You're born and raised here. You've started many businesses here. And I would argue, besides the entertainment industry and maybe business side of things from law and legality and taxes and governance, you are operating a very niche business in arguably one of the most competitive cities on earth. And you've navigated the landscape of LA really well. As you know, I've been in this city for the last 6-7 years, started my YouTube journey, met all these individuals, now starting my own products company, producing hand-poured candles. Would you have any advice for me in regards to how do I thrive with my new business ideas while not losing the essence of who I am, and also making sure I don't hit these big potholes or, go through the troubles that many people that start businesses here go through?
Well, I think that you embody those core principles that you have showcased for your life. I mean, I don't know how many people know, but you're world championship several times.
Yes,
windsurfer. Yeah. And that clearly showcases the dedication, discipline that is necessary in being successful, right? And so it's always very, expected when I see somebody that's been successful in other ventures be successful in others, right? Because you understand what it takes, and really from the YouTube to the candles to all of the things that you've been a part of. And I think that just maintaining your own character and knowing that you're doing the best that you can possibly produce and not cutting corners, right? And being efficient, right? I think that, you don't want to waste. You want to just keep going, keep marching forward. There isn't any secret to success other than hard work and discipline and, making sure that you're just doing your best. I mean, it really comes down to that. It's the simplest thing that you're told from when you were a kid. Just do your best. And if you do your best and you work really hard, I believe that in a city like LA that has so many opportunities and so many people and so many different avenues towards that end goal, you're going to make it. And I think that it's something that many people embody in this city. And it's something that I hope, all generations coming up continue to understand that, there is no substitute, despite what else technology is bringing us today, that goes into just working hard.
Yeah, I am right there with you. And to people out there who may want to pursue career like yours or get involved in real estate, development, architecture, what are some of the things you can recommend them or advise them?
Well, Crest is always hiring, so let us know. We're always trying to find new young talent because people that come to the firm stick with the firm because it's a family and we love that and we support our people and want them to grow. I think that getting an architecture degree, if you're in college, I mean, that to me, I think that's one of the best degrees you can get. I think architecture is something that's really broad and wide ranging for a lot of different skill sets. Is a fascinating and I think captivating degree that I didn't personally go through, but so many of our staff and so many of my friends are architects. So I think that having an understanding of design and architecture is important. And I think that that's something that can lead you into a lot of great things, whether you're even a real estate agent or a developer or a broker or a contractor or a project manager. If you want to be in the real estate world, understanding architecture is the foundation.
Amazing. My last question, what's next for Jason?
I don't know. We've been so busy. It's like, well, it is next. I think we've actually, honestly, this has been a year of milestones with coming out with Start and Stop, right? Actually having that tangible. I didn't talk about it for several years while I was developing it. I like to have things fully baked. The Case Study 2.0 program, didn't do any press about it until just now because we're, finally launching. I don't like the development houses. I don't like to talk about things till they're actually done. People talk a lot. What I resonate towards and what I believe in for myself when I present things is, what's done. And right now we have, Miami, Case Study 2.0, Start, Stop, the continuation of Crest in Los Angeles, to really just take those and make them as great as possible and stay as good of a health and wellness journey as possible as well. Continue studying into that, working hard and, caring about the ones that are around me. I've got a loving relationship and that's incredible. Never been happier in my entire life. And that's been a beautiful thing to experience. And, I have so many wonderful friends and family. I just want to dive in and just, I don't know. I feel like we've created a lot of what we wanted to create. And I say we, because it takes a lot of people to make these things happen. But now it's about taking everything that's set in place and making sure that it all kind of maximizes its potential.
Amazing. Well, I think you've done a hell of a job. Thank you so much for coming today and sharing your story, your knowledge. I also have a little gift for you.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. That's our first candle that we're producing. What you're looking at.
I've been smelling it over here. It's lovely.
Exactly. You're, I believe, the fourth or fifth person that we are giving one. So I hope you like it. It is all organic ingredients, no chemicals, no petroleum products. It's just soy wax and essential oils. And I hope you enjoy it.
Well, that's excellent. And it talks about, the story and the creation of the journey right on the back. And that's really what it's all about. It's this journey and just being as creative throughout it as possible. So thank you, Enes. Really love talking to you. You're such a great friend and peer. And, looking forward to so many things in the future.
Likewise. Thank you, Jason.